Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight Entertainment Podcast. I'm your host, Alexis J. Soto, and this time, we don't have any of the quote-unquote disgusting people, as Peter likes to say, from the last couple of podcasts. In fact, he is, of course, have returned from the faraway place that he went to seek refuge from whatever such tragedy/disaster he was foretold would occur. I seemingly was unaware of it, but he was away.
It did happen.
It did happen, apparently. Was it QAnon that told you?
They wish they were as accurate as me.
If only. Anyway, Peter is back. We're good to see you again, and we have a couple of things to catch up on. We are going to be doing our official reviews for the Disney and Pixar film Luca, currently streaming on Disney Plus, and only on Disney Plus. And In the Heights, which you can catch in theaters and also on HBO Max, but apparently nobody bothered to. So those are the main things we're discussing today, as well as some other extras and everything. So on Red Spotlight number 334. Before we start, of course, as I mentioned previously, if you'd like to listen to our previous discussions, Kyle Lira and Alexis Moreno have their very extensive thoughts on the film In the Heights, as well as the controversies.
Whoa. But it's not Disney.
I know. That...
Why did they even give it the time of day? I don't.
That is a very valid question, and it's not...
The film was not sanctioned by their gods.
Because of that, I had them on the Red Spotlight podcast, and they appeared not once, but twice. 2 consecutive episodes in a row. I can't remember the last time that both of them were on.
It's insane. I'm gone for a week, and all of a sudden they're back on the podcast consistently. And then now that I'm back, I assume they will find ways not to.
I saw an opportunity to have them on the show for the first time in months. And I would have no one else to talk about this movie with. I was not going to wait like 2 weeks for you to get back to talk about In the Heights. So David was also on that discussion. And then, of course, David has been helping me out with the Loki reviews, currently streaming on Disney+. The show has new episodes every Wednesday, and then our recap podcasts drop on Thursdays. So, yeah. By the way, Peter, what has your reaction been like to the reaction to Loki? Especially with this last episode evidently being panned across the board as...
Whoa, what? That's not true. It is not pan, it is bi. Okay? Get it right.
You know, that is something that Kyle tries to do every show and never gets close to. You actually pulled that off. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. I bow now.
You actually... You actually made that work. Well, the episode is being criticized largely because it ended up being an episode that prioritized spending time with characters instead of moving the plot forward. And you've seen the reactions that I've shared with you. And I'm very curious to hear your... By the way, I did share your reaction, your comparison to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on the episode on air yesterday, because you texted me in real time. David laughed, but also was flabbergasted by the comparison, so... If you want to hear about that, go listen to that episode.
Oh, God.
No, I kind of went on a rant yesterday because I was really upset. Like, look, it wasn't the best episode in the world, honestly, but like I appreciated it for what it was doing, and yet people are attacking it for the very reason that I liked it. So that, of course, upsets me.
What was your question? What did I think about the reaction?
Yes.
I kind of suspected it. By the time the episode came to the end, by the fact, you know what I think the biggest thing is? I honestly think this. It's that the characters weren't off that planet by the time the episode ended. I think if it had ended, even with them back in the TVA, like somehow, or just off the planet somehow, people wouldn't have been as like
upset.
But there is this feeling of like they literally didn't move forward and that's why they have issues. I think that's what
it didn't physically move forward, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I think that has a lot to do with it. I liked the episode though.
Yeah.
I will say the show I think inherently has a tinge of melancholy because it is so surrounded around like
disasters
as they call
and death,
apocalypses. Yeah. Like it's kind of its bread and butter.
Yeah.
So there is just kind of a hinge of sadness underlying.
But I love that though,
whole
because
series.
that's not usually what Marvel is known for, exploring or doing,
Yeah, it's interesting. And I liked it that they are visiting different places and eras in time and in the galaxy. They visited Pompeii. What was it? Louisiana? Was it Alabama?
Yeah.
2050.
Alabama basically falling into the ocean.
Yeah.
That was something. Yeah.
I don't know who it was. I read it somewhere that like previous generations' idea of the future were always like bright and like just look at Back to the Future and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But our versions of the future are like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy. Anyway, but that was neat, like to see that area, and then of course this is like completely different. This random moon. What was it, like Lemire 1?
Lamentus 1.
Lamentus 1. The like an Earth was falling into the moon. So I do like that you're popping in and out of space and time to different areas. But yeah, there is like this level of sadness underneath it. But I also think it adds to just like the weird tone.
Yeah.
The sort of dark and humorous tone to it. If anything, I think they should lean into that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I liked this episode. I liked getting to know what's her name?
Sylvie.
Laufey.
Sylvie.
Laufey, their last name. No, but Sylvie. She's neat.
Yeah.
I like her. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand. The Grace Randolphs, literally of the world, are saying that she's a terrible actor and like is blown away by Tom Hiddleston.
I don't think she's terrible.
No.
I can see you know how I get about stupid little things, and they kind of gnaw at me.
Mm.
But I kind of would have liked her with black hair.
Okay.
Like, yeah, just because she is the girl Loki.
Right.
But like she still has the trademark oil, like pitch black hair. Like fucking Snape shit, you know what I mean? Yeah. I think everyone that isn't quite feeling her would like 180 if her hair was like.
So you're saying it's like Laura Dern purple hair syndrome all over again?
Well, that was like
that's a different situation, but
stupid.
But it's still stupid to focus on hair, though. Like, what the hell?
I think it's subconscious for most people.
Okay.
For me, it's not. But I think most people subconsciously, if you just like kind of change that little thing, people would be like, "Oh yeah, that's Loki."
Yeah, the hilarious thing, I just shared this tweet with you by Alicia Grasso, who is from Screen Rant. Marvel fans have been begging for a literal decade for Marvel to explore Loki more, and now they finally got an episode that was dedicated to pure Loki character development. They complain.
You know why I think they're complaining is because so far every episode has been devoted to Loki development.
Mm-hmm.
Well, especially episode 1 and episode 3.
Yeah.
Episode 2, you kind of get the plot moving a little more. But definitely 1 and 3, it's they definitely slow it down a bit for development.
And like I said yesterday, I say yesterday, but I mean in the last podcast, which should already be up by the time this podcast is dropped, the last Loki review, I said to David, look, general audiences just have this thing where like slow pacing equals bad, no matter what the circumstance. If they perceive something to be slow, they think, oh my God, it's bad.
You know what it is, too? You had WandaVision, and it was kind of... I don't even think it was slow, right?
No.
But not much action. But it was 9 episodes, right? So you knew you had that time to stick with it. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was 6 episodes, but I feel like it was moving.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 slowed down a little bit, but it was always moving. With this one, not really. I will agree that the pacing feels like they were going for the 9 episodes, but it's actually 6 episodes. Just because it's like, whoa, we're already halfway done.
We are, yeah.
Right? And it's like, oh, wow, okay. But I think when you look back at it, a lot has been done and established.
It has, yeah, it has.
There's been a deep dive into the character of Loki himself, his sort of connection with Mobius, just the entire explanation of the TVA and who they are. And then now this episode was very much him creating that connection with Sylvie. And then I think someone said this, and I think this is maybe a good bet that this might be it. Maybe, I don't know if it'll be the whole episode, but maybe a portion of the episode will be the TVA, like what Mobius and the TVA are doing at the same time as this last episode. Because you know how it was entirely on Loki and her?
I can see that.
The next one might be entire.
I can see that, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know if maybe the whole episode or maybe the first half. But no, I do think when you look at it, there's been a lot done. It's just it's not an buddy action film. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's just throwing people off.
It's just also because we're on the Disney Plus spectrum of things, right? Like the idea that this got so much pushback, and yet I would literally pray for like a sliver of this pushback to Mandalorian.
I don't know what enchantment that show has on people.
It's an enchantment.
It's so weird because there's like zero people swear like that show is the second coming. And it's not just people that usually like that stuff. It's literally everyone. Literally everyone loves that show. And I don't. And I don't see how there isn't even like slight pushback. It's not like, I think it's very obviously a show that a lot of people would like.
Right.
It plays to the masses and the hardcore Star Wars fans, so I get it. But then I see other people like it. I'm like, wow, really? Oh, you too? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a little weird. Yeah, especially because these other Marvel shows I think are really good. I mean, just look at the way I was talking about them before they came out.
I know.
I had no interest at all. I was like, fuck this shit. And I think all of them released, well, they all definitely have their issues. I think they all easily also have like some of the best stuff in the entire MCU. Easily.
Yeah.
Each one so far. So it's just funny, yeah. There was no cameos. They didn't bring in Cad Bane. Why did they not bring in Cad Bane?
Did you see that, or did you heard about it?
I did. Yes.
Oh.
And you know what's so great about
What?
that? Is that canonically he was supposed to be dead.
He was.
But of course, we can't have that. No, because then we have less characters to pull for cameos in future TV shows. Mm-hmm. So now he has to be alive. It's
hilarious what I saw this week. I've been watching The Bad Batch like sporadically, not week to week. Mm-hmm. But there, I would say there is part of the criticism against it is it's doing what basically all Star Wars is doing now and just like pulling in the character of the week. But I've encountered some people who are far more willing to criticize Bad Batch for doing it than The Mandalorian.
That's what's so crazy to me. Like, that made my... Because I'll be honest, I haven't seen a single episode of The Bad Batch. If
you don't care, you don't care.
Yeah, I don't... It's just I don't care. But then I'll see the same people that, like, insanely let that shit slide with The Mandalorian. And we're like, oh my god, I just love The Mandalorian so much. And then I hear them give these criticisms to The Bad Batch. Like, really? We're just going to pull in a new person of the week and like stuff like that. And I'm like, but you love The Mandalorian. Like, wait, where's this? That's why I'm like, that show's it's an enchantment. I don't know what it is.
It's magic.
It's a magic. They put a spell on the populace. I don't know how.
It's almost like that show can do no wrong, basically.
Yeah. It's so weird to me because it's like, why are you criticizing The Bad Batch for that shit? You firmly established that you love it. And then now that it's doing that too, it's like, it's no Mandalorian. Like, I even heard someone say, like, yeah, I saw a comment that someone said, yeah, like, seeing this in The Bad Batch has made me appreciate The Mandalorian more. And I'm just like,
what?
Yes. And I was like, oh my god, okay. I don't get people, clearly. At least not when it comes to Star Wars, because holy shit.
Anyway, Cad Bane is back. He looked great. It was evidently the first time that he had been used in anything new since 2012. That's like 9 years.
10. I was going to say, isn't that 10?
About to be 10 years.
Because you flip the 2 and the 1.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's 10 years.
That's not necessarily... Okay.
That's how I do it.
So there is that. Did you see... No, I know you saw it. I shared it with you. But we need to talk about it because I was... What the fuck is this for? As bad as we just discussed, you know, the complete lack of... I don't know. Knowledge, I don't know, realization, just the lack of coherence, the lack of realization. This TikTok guy, this video got shared around amongst our circles on Film Twitter about how this theory over Ahsoka's, in a reality in which she gets killed by Vader in Malachor, the sequels happen, but if she's alive, the sequels are erased.
Yeah.
I watched that video, and I cannot begin to tell you. First of all, I was laughing all the way through it. But then once I finished laughing, I was like, kill me.
You know what I hate even more than that? Is I think it was Dave Filoni's answer for why he did that. And it was more of like, no, like he was always meant to save, what's her name?
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Ezra was always meant to save Ahsoka.
Yeah, because now she's alive and she's a cool character. And now we have this cool character that we can still use. And it's like, you have taken that mantra to fucking heart. Because none of your characters are ever allowed to die ever now.
Something, I don't know.
They're all cool.
I don't know what happened, because I remember hearing him in some of the documentary or the behind the scenes like audio commentaries he would do for the Clone Wars. This is like way before Disney even happened. But I remember him talk about how he got a lot of blowback from fans in season 1 for killing so many characters. Something must have scarred him then, because ever since then he can't kill anybody. I think
he realized, like we all realize, is that trick works of just like, haha, a character you mildly know. And that sort of mild euphoria you get of going like pointing. And I mean, I just got that from looking at the Shang-Chi trailer, which we'll talk a little later, of like, aha, I know that thing. And it's cool that it's back and it's here. It's almost like a mini dose of nostalgia. It's weird, right?
I know.
I will say that I it's kind of weird how that worked though, because I don't even think it was clear that Ahsoka had died.
In where? At all?
When she first first confronted Darth Vader.
Yeah, when we watched that in real time years and years ago, no one thought she died.
But then later on, people were like, "Oh, he saved her." Oh, so she died? Like, I don't know. Okay, that's other shit.
Yeah. The video is on TikTok at the Drew Review. Help yourself if you like. But it just also perpetuates this subliminally. What it does is continues to put everything Filoni and The Mandalorian especially on a higher pedestal while continually invalidating the sequels. By extension, I feel it does that.
Well, yeah. You only come to this theory if your hope is to get rid of the sequels.
Yeah.
Which, guys, you don't even need the theory. All you have to do is just be like, they're not part of my personal timeline.
They're not.
I do that with the prequels. I
look, if you're somebody that doesn't like the sequels, you can enjoy the prequels, the spin-offs, Clone Wars, Rebels, Mandalorian, and the originals. And if that's all you want to acknowledge as Star Wars, feel free.
Just do it.
We have our own ways. Like, I completely ignore the existence space. I don't. When I do rewatches, I act as if the spin-offs don't exist. I really don't. Like, I'll only watch like one of the prequels, and then I'll like ignore the last movie ever happened. That's.
I think people are so crazy about this idea of like official canon.
Yeah.
And it's like official canon only exists because Disney was the highest bidder. If you had more money than Disney, you could change official canon. Like, it doesn't. Who gives it? Like, who doesn't matter? Like, it's not real. It's not a substantive thing you can touch. Real canon.
Yeah.
Just make your own. It's like, who gives a fuck? Just pick and choose what you want to be the story, and then that's it. Like, there's a lot of people that don't like anything except the original films.
Is that still true to be the case, though? Is that still true?
Older people, I would say.
I would probably think that, because not to blow a hole in your argument here, but I would think even the staunchest of like original trilogy like people still really liked Mandalorian. It seems that way.
Maybe. I'm sure there's people out there.
Oh, and Rogue One. People love the fuck out of Rogue One.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's silly that people jump through those hoops.
I agree with you. I mean, canon is not really anything to be all that, upset over. And this is coming from the guy that pretty much used to carry around a book of canon for Star Wars. Remember when we first did those reviews on Barely News Crew? In the anticipation to The Force Awakens, we would talk about the films themselves. We talked about the Clone Wars. And at that point, like, I was really obsessed with like all the things that were like in the official canon. But it's been a couple of years because I've, as I've said for a while now, I've been completely turned the other direction where I'm like, I kind of despise that mentality of like wanting to dictate what's real and what's not.
Well, I shared, this is Marvel, not Star Wars, but I shared that tweet from James Gunn with you.
Oh, that's right. Yes, let me find it so I can read it, because it was actually a really good tweet, because it not only speaks to, I feel, this particular argument or discussion on canon, but I think also kind of, and I'm not sure if this was his intent, but it seemingly highlights an issue we had with Mandalorian in that tweet.
Oh, no, for sure. I don't think he was like, I'm going to fuck the Mandalorian.
I read into it what I would in that one, for sure, but yeah.
I think it was like someone, because he's actually really vocal.
He is.
Like, if you ask him a question, there's a good chance he'll reply.
Have you ever tried?
No, I don't have anything interesting to ask him.
You don't?
Not really, other than just give me movie now. Yeah, like that's it.
It's almost here, by the way.
What date is it?
August, I think 13th or August 6th, one of those two.
Okay.
It's honestly right around the corner.
Yeah, for sure, theaters.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. But doesn't Black Widow come out first?
Of course. Black Widow comes out July 9th. No, not 9th. Or maybe it is July 9th.
Oh, I think it's 8th.
July 8th, yes.
It's one of those.
Yes.
Yeah, I think someone had asked about, like, how many end credit scenes are there? Or something like that.
I can't find the damn thing.
You can't find it? It's because you're always sending shit.
It's not just me. It's not just me. A lot of it is...
It's just you.
No, it's not. There's a lot of...
Let me see. You... David.
All I keep seeing is that damn Batman thing people are on about. Steven Crowder, Black Widow, In the Heights.
In the Heights. Weren't we talking about Loki?
Well, it's kind of spurred into everything else now. We're just kind of doing like a stream of No, we're doing a stream of consciousness thing because like these are things that have been on my mind, and I've had no one to really talk to about them.
You couldn't talk to them with the A crew?
The A crew? I wouldn't call them that. Yeah, I seemingly... When did you send it?
Fuck, I don't know.
Okay, you know what? I can't find it. But the point of it... Or maybe I can go on his actual Twitter, if it's still there. But yeah. There's a lot of things to get to.
He does tweet a lot, that's the thing.
No, that's the problem. But it couldn't have been that far away.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. Oh, are we gonna talk about the new? Did you even see it? The new trailer?
I didn't even see it. No.
Oh wow.
No.
Okay.
Was there a lot of new footage?
You know what's really funny?
What?
And I'll talk about this while you look for it. They confirmed why. Fuck. What's his name's the main character?
Who is the main character in the movie?
Fake Will Smith.
You mean Idris Elba?
Idris Elba. No, that's disrespectful to Idris Elba.
Fake Will Smith.
But he does basically. It seems like it's basically the same character. But they confirm in the trailer that the reason he is in prison is because he put Superman in the ICU because he shot him with a kryptonite bullet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Which, I mean, I've been around comics enough to know, like, yeah, that happens from time to time, you know. But, you know, with how crazy everything is now with, like, you know, the Snyder Cut, Snyderverse, and then all this other... I guess people got pissed about that, like Snyderverse people.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. Which I thought was kind of funny. It's an unfortunate turn from the wonderful and lovely Batwoman discussion from just the week prior.
Wait, what? Batwoman or Catwoman?
Catwoman, sorry, Catwoman. No, Batwoman would be weird. Yeah.
That was a weird week, wasn't it? Did you have anything to say on that issue as far as Warner Brothers censoring the Harley Quinn team for not wanting to show Bruce Wayne engage in sexual relations with Miss Catwoman? I have the tweet, by the way.
Oh, you do? Okay. I actually think that was fucking hilarious. It's one of those moments where it's like, oh, the internet is enjoyable.
The response especially was hilarious.
Yeah, the response was great. Fucking Zack Snyder, Jesus. He swung for the fences.
I love how somebody replied, you had this on your phone the whole time, didn't you?
I mean, he made that whole situation worth it. I thought it was funny. The discussion was hilarious, and a lot of the jokes people had from it. But I mean, as far as like, I guess what makes the topic so fun is it's not a real controversy.
It's not, no.
It's just kind of funny to like talk about, you know? So it's like, do I have any opinions as far as does Batman really do that? You know what? I will say this. I did like someone's tweet that they said, as if Catwoman would ever sleep with anyone that didn't. And I'm like, okay, I buy that. So that's my official position, I guess.
Okay, I found the tweet by James Gunn. And I remember I did respond with a GIF of Meryl Streep standing up and applauding. I find it...
That's your go-to.
It seems that way. I find it disconcerting at times that many folks seem more interested in crossovers, cameos, references, and post-credit scenes than they do the actual story and characters of a specific film. When making a film, I spend 99.9% of my time thinking about the story and character, and 0.1% the rest.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally everything we've been saying for a while. And I think it's somewhat bad in Marvel. Or can be. I think it's like 50 times worse over at Star Wars. Where I feel like with Marvel, it feels like a lot of the content can be, or like the films and TV shows, can end up being like 70% character and stories, 30%, you know, how does it fit into the universe?
How do we pay off this character from a couple movies ago? How do we set up the next thing?
Yeah, how do we set up all this stuff? Like it feels like 30% could be like that, but with Star Wars, it feels like 80 to 90% is that stuff. And then the last 20% is like, I guess we have to do character stuff. And that's what's really turned me off from, because even if you are just constantly bringing back the same characters, if you do cool character shit with them, awesome. Right?
Yes.
I mean, that's comics. It's the same goddamn characters for 80 years. But if you find new and interesting stories to tell with them, awesome. But they don't. We talked about fucking Mandalore isn't just a state of arrested development. It's never, it's not that nothing interesting ever happens there. It's just, it's the same shit over and over and over and over with the same characters. It's not even like they're bringing in new characters. It's the same fucking characters. So yeah. Well, okay, I'll ask you, how have you liked The Bad Batch so far?
I really liked the first 2-3 episodes. I feel like
how many episodes are out right now?
I think 8 or 9.
8 or 9. Okay.
I think the 9th one's gonna be on this week. My interest was kind of really engaged with it off the bat in the first 2 weeks. It's kind of waned. It's not a week-to-week show. It just isn't. Mm-hmm. And even binging it all at once, I found myself invariably losing interest. But it is well made. The animation is stunning. I think the writing for the most part is good. But it can be a bit episodic, which, I mean, I guess that's the point, right? Like, there's not much you can do with it. And I also don't know, like, how long they intend for this to go on, honestly. So far, how has The Bad Batch been? I think it's been decent. I don't think it's, like, relatively, like, hit any highs. I feel like the real strong suit of the series is how they've just mastered that animation and the angles and the shots. That's beautiful. The character work, I think, it varies. Some of it is good. Some of it, it is what it is. I mean, I thought the first episode, far and away, like, got me to care about some of those characters more so than the other show. I'll tell you that.
I will say, I feel like Dave Filoni shows, since the Clone Wars, it's like the first season, they sort of restrain themselves a bit, and it's more about setting shit up. And then after that, it's like, this is how it connects to the entire Star Wars, and it changed everything.
That's not happening.
So right off the bat, they're going to the connect. Okay.
Of course, because it's the clones, Order 66, and there's been several cameos from, I would say, probably lower level characters, Cad Bane notwithstanding. Well,
name the cameos, because I don't even know.
So it's Cad Bane, there's Trace and Rafa from the last season of the Clone Wars. They were in here. Rex, obviously, that's a big one. And I think, Fennec Shand, the Ming-Na Wen character from Mandalorian, who looks exactly the fucking same. Like, do these people not at all calculate age into their designs?
She would be incredibly young, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
Like, insanely young.
Basically. I mean, she does look a little younger.
Well, actually, actually, that's not... Ming-Na Wen looks really good for her age, isn't she? Like,
she's 55 at least, I think.
She's 55?
At least, last I checked, yeah.
Holy shit. Never mind then. Like, she might look the same. Because what is this, like 20 years, isn't it?
20, 30, around the same time. Like, yeah.
It's 20. I think it's 20. So, yeah, maybe she... If you look at a picture from Ming-Na Wen 20 years ago, I feel like it would look pretty similar.
She's aged amazing. Honestly. Yeah, I've enjoyed it, but it's not really making much of an impact, although it could just be with the subject matter. There are like so many other better things to watch at the moment, so that's kind of where I feel.
It always seemed like a binge show.
Yeah.
And then also, and I know eventually I'll probably get the answer, but it is this thing of like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, I guess I get who the Bad Batch were. Like, they were just kind of these Clone Wars Black Ops weirdos.
Yeah.
Like, okay. But what's the point of following them? Like, what... I don't know. Like,
I guess
what's
some
the
of the
ultimate
people
story
who view it for, I guess, canonical quote-unquote reasons would be because it shows the official transition from the clones into the idiotic stormtroopers and why they were gotten rid of in the first place.
Sure, but like their story.
Oh.
Why do they matter? Like what?
That's not their priority.
Okay. I don't know.
That's not what they see these things for. It's for the lore world building is really what it's all about for most people. So.
Okay.
One quick thing. Anthony Mackie, not that, something else.
Okay.
Reveals that he was afraid to come back for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus because, quote, I didn't want to be the guy in the first Marvel project that sucked, unquote. To which I say, are you trying to say that you literally just said it, like nothing Marvel has sucked in the past? I mean, have you been living under a rock?
I think nothing Marvel has gotten the stink of sucking.
Marvel Studios.
Yes.
That's really unfair to everybody else because there have been some things they've made that should have gotten the stink.
Yeah, but they haven't. I don't think anything they've made has gotten the stink.
Okay, what about the Dark World?
Where people just walk away and go like, oof. No.
Not even the Dark World.
I don't think. Not even the Dark World.
Okay. So what I responded to was I responded with gifs of Thor: The Dark World, Inhumans, Iron Fist, Those are not Marvel Studios, but those are bad.
Yeah, those don't count. I don't think he counts.
No,
those.
Of course not. But they're bad. Ant-Man and the Womp Womp.
See, that's the thing. I think that movie is garbage. I think it's trash.
Yeah.
That was the first MCU movie where I was kind of sitting there and I was just kind of mad.
Why am I
watching? Yeah. Why am I watching this? Like, it's just a big fat nothing. And it's kind of annoying. But it didn't get the stink. People walked out going, yeah. But it didn't get, like, attacked, right? It wasn't this thing of, like, people going, knowing it for sucking. Like, if you look at the first Suicide Squad, that got the sink.
Oh.
Even though it obviously has fans, but a lot of people are like, this is crap, right? I don't think there's any MCU. There's definitely ones that people don't like.
Right.
For sure. But none with the stink. And I understand his reservations simply because, like...
It's streaming.
It's streaming, right? They hadn't done it before. And it's like, will this be good? You know, I understand that. So.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I don't want to, like, unleash a whole, like, MCU debate, but, like, it's funny how this movie, Ant-Man and the Womp Womp, might be the worst MCU film, you know, far and away. But there have been others that have, you know, received far more pushback. Like Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is a really whatever movie, and, you know, about as bland as you can get. But I'd watch that over this in a heartbeat.
No, for sure. Yeah. Who is directing Ant-Man 3?
The same person, man.
Is it really?
Yes, it's Peyton Reed.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Fuck, for real?
Yes. Yeah.
He's not good.
No! He never has been good. We've been saying this for a long time. That's why I remember, like, the only person that ever seems to echo what we feel, ironically enough, is Grace Randolph. And when it was announced, she said in her video, like, damn it, why is he back? He's not a good director.
He's not. Like, he can't even do, like, the baseline, like, well, it's another Marvel movie. Like, it would be one thing for that, but I didn't even feel that. It was just like, fuck, this is lame. The one thing he's supposed to bring, which is the funny, the humor, and I walked away going like, this is monstrously unfunny. I don't think I laughed once.
Monstrously unfunny. I think that's accurate.
Okay, yeah, that's one for sure. Like, I know I've backtracked on a lot of the Marvel projects that I said I don't care about, and then they've come out, and then I kind of care about them a lot.
Well, the TV,
just
specifically TV.
This is specifically TV, but we'll see how the movies go with Black Widow. But this is one that I don't see changing.
I have no faith in Ant-Man. I have no faith whatsoever.
No,
like, the first movie was fine. I remember enjoying it a lot when we first saw it.
Yeah.
But then as the years have gone by, it's fine. And then the second one is just awful.
Yeah. It really needed... They should have pulled Thor the Dark World.
Yeah.
They should have gotten a crazy fucking director in there. Like, a good one. And then just, like, do whatever.
Wait, did you mean to say the Dark World is a good example? Or did you mean a different movie?
Oh, like after the Dark World. Like
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they just, like, take it in a crazy different direction, right? Like, but I don't know. I guess not.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to say. So let's get to the trailers, shall we? So since we're on Marvel, we have a new trailer for no. Sorry. We have a new trailer for Shang-Chi, the new MCU film, I believe, coming out September. So,
yep.
The movie looks good.
I think it looks pretty darn good. Again, the retcon with the whole
Mandarin
stuff. LOL. That's really the extent. LOL. But everything else, I think it looks cool. I think the action looks good. I think the sort of reimagining of the 10 Rings, because the 10 Rings were originally rings
right
on your hands, and they were magic. But now it's like these, I don't even know what the fuck they're called, like bands, armbands. And they look cool.
They do.
I think they look cool. It's interesting. I think the action looks cool. It looks like it's shot pretty well. I like the whole idea with his dad just being this big asshole.
Yeah.
And, you know, running, you know, this kind of evil empire warlord. Looking at Grace Randolph, she likes to compare it to like Raj Al Ghul in the League of Shadows. And I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty good comparison.
Yeah.
But it's neat. I like the mythical stuff they're throwing in there too.
The dragon.
That looks neat. There's a fucking dragon. Which
not Raya and the Last Dragon is a different dragon.
Let me tell you something. The fact that there's actually a dragon just made it a billion times better than Iron Fist without even having to see it. Okay? Because there's actually a fucking dragon.
That's not saying much, obviously.
No, it's not. I would rather watch this trailer on a loop for 8 hours than watch fucking Iron Fist again.
Didn't that season have 13 episodes?
Fuck, that's right. Oh my god, that was a piece of shit show. Who was the guy that ran that again?
Scott Buck.
Scott Buck.
Who was then promoted to run the Inhumans, and they ran that straight into the ground.
They destroyed Marvel Television.
They did. Yeah.
I would argue he single-handedly did it, Scott Buck.
Oh, yeah.
Because he fucked up.
He fucked up Iron Fist, which may have inherently harmed Defenders, and then Defenders had its own problems from a creative standpoint, a writing standpoint. Then
and a budget standpoint.
and then of course was Inhumans.
Inhumans.
But it all stemmed from the same person, which was Ike Perlmutter, and he was the one that was the cheapskate.
Yeah, to be fair, it was him. And he seems to have he bought the guy that just say like, I will do it as cheap as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Which was Scott Buck. Where he's just like cheap as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fuck all that shit. But no, I'm digging the trailer.
Yeah.
I'm really liking it. Yeah.
So I didn't catch this. Because why would I?
You're not a real fan, okay?
Well, I'm not a real fan of a certain installment, shall we say.
Yeah, that's just me, huh?
It may just be. I don't know. No one else that I know of seems to care about it but you. But you never know. There could be more of you out there. I saw this trailer just like an hour or two ago. You and David were discussing about this like character reveal, and I'm like, well, what are you talking about? So I watched it. I watched the whole thing, specifically to the end, and I'm like, did I miss something? I literally just it went over my head, and then I looked at the comments, and they're saying abomination, abomination, abomination. Like, oh, okay. So I go back and watch the part, and I'm like, was it this thing? Okay, I guess it was this thing. Okay, cool.
The cool part was that he was fighting Wong.
Wong?
You didn't catch that? Yeah, that was Wong he was fighting.
From Doctor Strange?
Yes.
Really?
When he punched him, he had the disc. Oh, you know how they have those little magic blocky discs?
Uh-huh.
That's what he punched.
You're shitting me. I'm seeing it right now.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
That's Wong.
The fuck are they doing in this movie?
Well, I haven't told you this, but I have read the leaks and I know the entire film.
So, okay. Why do you... Okay, I'm not going to get upset.
I know, that's why I didn't tell you.
So you know the leaks of this movie? I assume you already know the leaks for Spider-Man. Do you know the leaks for Black Widow?
Oh, yeah. I just read them the other day.
Great. And Eternals?
No. That film remains elusive to me.
Okay.
Oh, no, wait. I did read them. Never mind. Only half of this stuff ever ends up coming true. Okay, guys, I'm not actually spoiling it for myself.
All right, let's hear it.
But this leak has been around for a long time. I think even Grace Randolph might have talked about it. Yeah, I think she has. Where it's it's like a tournament. Like an underground tournament. And it you know, they invite all kinds of powerful people, right? So I think they thought it would be cool. And I think the dad runs it.
The Mandarin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Mandarin runs. So it's basically the supervillain, the Mandarin, is having this like it's like an underground fight or whatever tournament. They're going all Mortal Kombat here. And so yeah, I think that's kind of like it seems like a cool cameo to show that like these, again, just to show how big the world is, right? Like these other characters in the MCU are here for whatever reason. And this, you know, underground super tournament.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
How do you feel about the visuals? The effects?
It has a lot of the issues that I have with all Marvel films, and that the effects are very clearly all look similar. Like all the energy blast, all the color, like the colorful energy shit all looks exactly the same. It's a lot of it looks very samey to the rest of the MCU in that way. But other than that, I think the effects look pretty good. I don't have any major issues. Not yet, anyway. Not that I've seen. Why do you feel
No,
different?
not really. I mean, that didn't make much of an impact, I'll be honest. But they look good.
Yeah, I think they look good.
All right. Anything else to say on this?
No, I'm actually excited for Shang-Chi.
All right.
That was always one where I'm like, I was never negative, but I was like I'll wait to see what direction the film takes. You know what I mean? When it was announced. And with these trailers, they've gotten me excited. I think they're doing some cool stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll watch it, and I'm hoping it'll be good, but it's not really creating any kind of excitement in me.
You know what I think it is? I don't think they've established Shang-Chi himself as being that interesting a character yet.
Yeah.
But I do think they have the grounds for it, where I think once you see the film, they can expand on the character and make him interesting. Because like I said, that's what kind of drew me in. It's this whole idea of like he was raised obviously by his dad, put through hell to take over the family business, but he tried to run away and be like, nah, I just want to have a normal life. But then dad's like, fuck you, I'm back. There could be some interesting character stuff there.
Yeah.
But so far within the trailers, there's just not much from him. I will say that.
Yeah, I agree. So we had another trailer in the form of Halloween Kills. I had to pause it, I think, after the first initial seconds, because I was like, oh my god, you idiots. So I'm talking about the first couple of frames.
Oh, yeah.
The first couple of frames picks up immediately after Halloween 2018 leaves off, and we see the three Strodes in the back of a pickup, I believe, as they're getting away. And then next to them, the couple of firefighters going to go put out the fire that probably would have killed Michael Myers. It's so unbelievably stupid. And yet, why do I feel like that would happen in real life?
Well, they don't know it's Michael Myers. They just know someone's trapped in there.
Yeah, and as we see in the trailer, they find out exactly who is trapped in there, and then they don't see anything else after that night. I loved it. It looked really. It looked like a lot of fun. I can't wait to see this in a theater. I really enjoyed the 2018 movie. Hoping this one keeps up that energy.
It looks like a fun as fuck slasher.
Yeah.
And again, like slashers in the mainstream, they're dead. Right? Like slashers just don't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
All horror is ghost and demon related, or like monsters. Like the like slasher film, it's
gone.
It's been dead since the 90s and gone. And that's the biggest thing I remember thinking when I watched Halloween, the 2018 one. It's like, oh wow, like it's been so long since I've been in a movie theater, and it's like it's literally a guy with a knife going around killing people. Like that's, and yeah, Halloween Kills just looks like 20 people fucking die.
I mean, wait, I think that's about as many people we saw in that trailer. Like it was, and by the way, there was some pretty brutal fucking kills that they gave away in that trailer.
Mm-hmm. No, it got. I was like, oh shit. It looks like a good fun slasher time.
Yeah.
So I'm. That's another one where I'm like, I gotta see this in a theater because that's where the most fun's gonna come from.
Absolutely, that one's like, if it was playing right now, I'd leave you to go watch it right now. But I think the feeling is mutual, isn't it?
Of course.
So yeah, that's about all that can be said about it. But overall, very, very that one I'm really excited for.
Oh
yes,
and to get back to the first topic, I did like Loki episode 3. That is it.
You did say that before.
Oh, did I? Oh, I thought I didn't say. Okay, yeah. I just want to make sure. Okay.
We came full circle in the first hour of the show. We're already at an hour.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, that's great. Well, let's go ahead and talk about these movies. So the first one we'll be discussing is In the Heights. Again, if you want to hear the reactions from Kyle Lira and Alexis Moreno and David Francisco, you can. In a few of the episodes back. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Got a cold chill. In the Heights, directed by Steven Spielberg. The time has come. The story of Usnavi, a bodega owner who has mixed feelings about closing his store and retiring to the Dominican Republic or staying in Washington Heights. Starring Anthony Ramos. Oh shit. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I think I saw a fucking spider on me.
Oh my... What do you mean you think you saw? I mean, how do you not know?
I mean, it was a spider, but you know.
How do you not know if it's on you or not?
Well, it was on my hand, but I flipped
How did it
and
get on your hand?
I don't know. You've seen my room. It's a bug paradise. I like to live with nature, not kill it. Okay, who else? Corey Hawkins, Leslie Grace, Melissa Barrera, Olga Meredith, Daphne Rubin Vega, Gregory Diaz IV, Mark Anthony, and Jimmy Smits. Yeah. That's the film.
You know, a lot of things have been said about the movie. And it's not a perfect film. I don't think any movie is a perfect movie. And I think it does have its fair share of issues. But ultimately I was left with not really feeling them weighing down ultimately how much I enjoyed the film. I've seen it twice now. I saw it the first time in theaters, and I saw it again on HBO Max. Again, I was one of the only people in the world that did that, apparently, on either side of on either side of the fence. But I was really taken overall with the performances and the set pieces and the music. As I usually seem to be when it comes to musicals. I mean, even the music in Mary Poppins Returns ultimately won me over, and that movie is far, far from perfect. In the Heights, ultimately, I really kind of loved. It was something special to see a musical like this with a bunch of brown faces. And even though, as I said in the previous episodes...
But were they brown enough?
That's the thing. Well, it'd be pretty dickish to say they were for me, at least because, I mean, these are the people who I've seen my whole life. Many people clearly didn't feel that way. But I did, Alexis did, and that was something really special about the movie that I enjoyed. And I was able to get over the rapping. Thankfully, of course, Ramos was one of the only ones that was doing it for the most part. It was mostly singing, it seems like. Much more of a balanced approach here than Hamilton. And yeah, I appreciated in some of the sequences where they really did try to get a little bit more quote unquote animated, especially with the numbers themselves. You know, in the beginning of 96,000, the characters have like these like illustrations that accompany them with their movements and the lyrics.
Yeah.
When the sun goes down, when you see Benny and Nina basically walk on the side of a building.
That was cool stuff.
Mm-hmm. I think it felt a lot like you're imbuing this modern day musical sensibilities, and you're going for something. I felt very much they were going for something that would have come out, at least the scale of it, that would have come out a long time ago when musicals were really big. John Chu, again, isn't really the kind of director that really brings much flair or style. And when we're given a story here that is basically all Lin-Manuel Miranda's creation, again, this is not me to diminish him. I mean, we need directors for hire, clearly. And I think this is, a pretty competent job for the most part. I mean, again, if you ask me, if you ask others, well, they have a different story in regards to the whole colorism issue. But I liked the choreography. And I loved especially some of these performances, particularly Olga Meredes, who played Claudia, or Abuela Claudia.
Oh, yes.
So, for the most part...
You love
yes,
the characters your age.
Of course. But she was spectacular. You're not going to deny me that. She was amazing.
Yeah, she was great.
So, there is that.
If you could, pray tell, how did the others feel? Because I actually have no idea.
You have no idea?
No idea.
Okay, even if, let's say, I'm going to take you at your word that you were so repulsed by the last two episodes that you didn't bother listening to them. That's one thing.
Yes.
You really don't have an inkling as to what they thought of it? Come on.
I assume that Ms. Alexis and Ms.
Oh my God.
Kyle both loved it.
Alexis said that she feels pretty biased. She was expecting to love it, and her expectations were blown away, and she loved it.
So she loved it.
Those were her words. Kyle really enjoyed it. He did have issues with particularly some of the stuff that was omitted from the original Broadway show.
Okay.
Now, he hasn't seen it, but he read what transpired in the original Broadway production, and there are certain storylines that he felt that if they were applied in the film, it would have added more meat to the bones, shall we say, on some of the characters.
Okay. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
No.
All right. So yeah, I saw it. I did.
That you did.
I saw it.
From the comfort of your own home.
Yes, thank you, HBO Max. You're doing God's work. What do I say?
Say what you feel. Say what comes to your mind.
Say what you mean to say.
Oh my God.
It was a film.
It was a film
that I watched. Okay, here we go. It was actually done, like, overall presentation, I think was pretty well, right? Like, there was a lot of singing, there was a lot of dancing.
Yeah.
I thought the actors were really good. I thought, I don't know if that was actually them singing, but again, the singing was good, the dancing was good. I thought they did do some interesting things visually. It has a lot of nice musical stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I think if you're into musicals, I think it's a must watch, right? Like, it has all the trappings of, like, yes, a night out to watch a musical.
As far as style is concerned, it's really there.
Yeah. I don't. I think it's maybe John Chu's best stuff.
Yeah.
There's legitimately a lot of good stuff there.
Are you familiar with his whole filmography?
I've seen his films. Let me see. Let me pull up his work. I got it here. Wait, nope, that's Anthony Ramos. Crazy Rich Asians, Now You See Me, G.I. Joe Reality, Retaliation, Step Up 2, The Streets, Step Up 3, Never Say Never, Justin Bieber, Gem and the Hologram.
Wait, are you serious? Justin Bieber, Never Say Never?
Yep. Oh no. He's gonna do the Lilo and Stitch live action movie.
I mean, I don't care for that movie to succeed in the first place. I am actively rooting for that to fail because it is an abomination to my sensibilities.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay, this is a quick aside, but I watched a review of Cruella today.
Oh God.
And I had no idea that they fucking Han Solo'd it with her name.
Oh, that.
I had no fucking idea.
Oh, that's right.
That they were literally like, Devil.
Yeah.
Oh. I was like, what the fuck? People liked this movie. Okay. Oh my
People
God.
loved this movie. People love this movie.
Fucking Han Solo'd it. Oh my. That's funny.
By the way, you can catch the Cruella review, an exclusive for the Fantasy Fair podcast. That's been recorded for a couple of weeks now, and hilariously enough, Kyle has forgotten to upload it, and still has.
Really?
Yeah, I have to keep reminding him, "Where's the review?" And he's like, "Oh shit! Oh, okay."
And then just does nothing.
No.
Okay. Okay. In the Heights. Okay. Here's the thing. I kind of have two issues that kind of color my viewing of the film.
Is that wording intentional?
No.
That's funny.
But now it is.
That's funny.
The first is I don't care for the songs.
That's understandable. That's fair.
I think, like, even, like, I walked into Hamilton kind of like, fuck this. But the songs won me over.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really liked the songs in Hamilton. But here...
There's not one you liked?
There's not one that stood out.
Really? Okay.
Not really to me. They were all just kind of felt like, yeah, these are songs that you sing, and see, for me, I thought it was gonna be the other way, where I like the music, but like visually, it's not as interesting.
Right.
But I actually think it was the other way, where I thought visually they're doing a lot of fun stuff with the city, and they're dancing, and they're these colorful personalities. But I feel the songs were just kind of like, eh. So I think that's pretty huge for a musical.
Obviously,
right?
if you don't like the songs, what's left to talk about? The musical.
I don't hate them, but they're just like, And this other issue, it's kind of weird.
It's your take. I mean, I expected nothing less.
But I think I cracked the code as to why Lin-Manuel Miranda has such a contentious view viewed contentiously.
Did you read the article I sent a few days ago?
You know I didn't.
No, you did. You did. It was about Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I don't think I did.
Yes, you did. It's in.
How do you?
It's okay. It's from the Washington Post. Mm-hmm. Oh wait, no, that's the wrong one. Excuse me. Wow, damn, they really ran a bunch of trash articles this week. I'm referring to Lin-Manuel Miranda, and here it is from The Ringer, unpacking the love/hate relationship with Lin-Manuel Miranda. Do you not remember this one?
No.
Want me to read it and see if it's what you have, real quick?
Sure.
This is what okay. So he now strikes many critics, and even the progressives in his own fandom, as a living memento to the corniest pop culture under Obama. He's a champion for racial diversity in entertainment, but also a testament to the limits of that mission in the grand scheme of things. It doesn't surprise me to see him now buckling under the inevitable disenchantment. It's hard to think of a popular entertainer who suffered a starker whiplash in critical regard over the past decade. Miranda hasn't just apologized for the casting for In the Heights, he's also recently expressed some regret in response to long-standing criticism for glossing the Founding Fathers in Hamilton. Criticism now echoed loudly in corners that once muted these complaints during the original run on Broadway. More than anyone else in Hollywood, Miranda embodies the ungainly tension between progressive praxis on one hand and popular entertainment on the other. His earnestness bolsters his work, but then doubles back to undermine and embarrass him on his own terms. He's doing too little and too much at once.
That's interesting. Okay. I kind of see. You know what? My reading might be similar. Or at least it falls under this category. And my issue is that he has a very old immigrant view of the world.
Yeah.
And I think you see it in Hamilton, and you for sure see it here. And it's sort of that...
Immigrants, they get the job done.
God, yes. It's this thing of like, when your granddad came over in the 1920s, he had $20 in his pocket, but he used it to build an empire because America is the land of opportunity. And the only thing standing in between you and a massive money empire is just a little spit, grease, and hard work. And if you didn't make it, it's because you didn't work hard enough. You didn't hold on to your little dream. He has that mentality like embedded deep within him, and you can tell because that's entirely what Hamilton was about. Hamilton was so awesome and badass and special, and the entire world wanted to fuck him because he was such a hard working go-getter, and you know, that's the greatest trait a human being can have. And then that's what this is here. It's that very much old go-getter of like, it's the American dream, you know. You just need a little, you know, elbow grease. Work a little hard. Take 2-3 jobs, and you'll be a billionaire in no time. And I'm not saying, obviously being a hard worker is a good trait, right? all that stuff is good. I'm not here to talk badly about that. You should absolutely be a hard worker in whatever you set out to do in life. But it is this thing of, I'm just not in the mood to hear that.
Of course not. Why would you be? Why would any of us be in 2021?
Yeah, like that whole the American dream. It's a bullshit lie.
It is.
That rich people told poor people, because guess what? Every once in a while, one of you will magically make it up here with us on Olympus. But it will only ever be like a 0.1% of you. The rest of you will wallow in squalor, but you will be okay with it because you'll believe if you're not that 0.1%, it's your fault. And and like statistically, like it's damn near impossible to move along. Class mobility in the United States of America is dog shit, right?
Right.
If the American dream is that, like, class mobility, being able to move up and down through classes, you know, specifically through hard work and stuff like that, then there were like at least 20 or so countries that have a better American dream than America, right? I kind of get what the article's trying to say, because I think my criticism kind of plays into that, right? Like, he is progressive in that way, you know? And I do think it's a good message, but it's also at the same time not timely. It's not a timely message. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's both progressive and old. And I think that throws people for a loop.
You know, that's a great discussion to have. I do have this to say, though. I mean, thinking about, like, you feel like this is the inherent ideology of Lin-Manuel Miranda, that he subscribes to this way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How does he reconcile that with, because there's this other part of the movie that stood out to me. It wasn't part, I think, of a lyric. I'm not sure. It happened near the end of the movie, but it's when Uznavi is talking to the little kids. This is after, I think this is right before the ending actually happens. And he's talking about how they say that, when you're growing up that all you got to do is get a good education, get a hardworking job, and those things will complete you. And then Uznavi says, but they're wrong. They don't complete you. And and that to me seemingly suggests that what you're saying, it may not be entirely accurate, because in my experience, that's not the same thing, right? To say that the materials that these things that you're going to work for in life are what matter. But seemingly coming out of Uznavi's words, he's saying, well, they really don't matter. Is that not really the case?
I don't think they're contradictory, though.
Okay. Explain.
Because he's still buying into the idea that it can happen if you want it.
Uh-huh.
He's just saying, it's not everything. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay. It's not everything.
I don't think they're inherently contradictory.
It's not everything. That's what he said?
Well, I think that's the way it plays out.
Right, okay.
Right? Or maybe I didn't. But even if they have that line at the end, I still feel like most of the film reinforces that. And for sure, Hamilton reinforces that. And
can you believe it's almost been about a year since that Hamilton review?
Really?
Yeah, July 4th.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, because he's kind of Lin-Manuel Miranda is this weird mix of like boomer progressive. So it kind of comes off.
You mean Joe Biden?
He's better than Joe Biden.
That's not saying much, but okay, yeah. I mean,
yeah. Cause yeah, like this whole idea of I think Hamilton's the best example, right? Where it's kind of, what's the word? Like, not worshiping, but like, what's the
praising?
word? Like heroizing, canonizing.
There's a word for it.
There's a word.
I don't know.
I think deifying. I'll say deifying.
Deifies? Okay.
Deifies like these in Hamilton, like these individuals that of course did great things, right?
Yeah.
But kind of doesn't even want to touch with a 10-foot pole the more negative aspects and tries to make up for it by casting them as people of color, and then even adding a subplot of, actually, we'd get rid of racism if we could. And it's just like, well, but that's not true. Like it's this weird mixture, right?
Yeah.
And I can see how that kind of confuses people and gets to them.
Yeah.
And you do have that a little bit here, I feel, with
I think what's fortunate for him is that he's able to create things that are such entertainment. Ultimately,
yeah.
Like the flash is all there, and it's interesting to me that you say that. I don't think any of what you're saying is incorrect. Personally speaking, it didn't occur to me while watching it. Although, I guess to me, I'm really appreciative of the fact. I mean, I guess of just the bare minimum. I guess that's a really bad way of putting it. Of the bare minimum that Manuel is able to do, in terms of making something like this actually happen. Like I would say it is something special that a film like this with a majority brown cast was made. And I thank him for doing that. And personally, I found the music to be very authentic to what it was trying to represent. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's, I think I connected to the music particularly much more than I did with Hamilton. Am I saying it's better than Hamilton? I don't know how you can, I don't know, like objectively, I mean, that's not for me to decide. All I can tell you is, what did I prefer? It would be In the Heights. But Lin-Manuel is, I definitely see what you're saying. And I don't know how he can overcome that. Because it seems to really go against who he is. Like it seems like he's the kind of person, when he's going about doing these projects, he likes to have his cake and eat it too. Like he wants to make the story about, like in the case of Hamilton, these historical people, but he knows deep down they weren't great people to begin with, and so he needs to really Disneyfy revisionist history 101 with a lot of what they actually were to reconcile the story that he wants to tell. Now, do you feel that also happened with In the Heights, as bad to a degree as Hamilton did, or?
No, it could never be to the degree of Hamilton.
Yeah, you really can't.
No, but so much of it was just like, I gotta keep working, chasing that dream. That's kind of like what all of them were.
Yeah, I get that, and I think you're right that is kind of, because obviously Anthony Ramos is pretty much Lin-Manuel Miranda. He played the lead obviously on Broadway, and that's kind of how he views himself. Like you just gotta work hard and get there. I feel like part of why he likes to do that is in his own way, just to show people outside of his culture, outside of his race that, excuse me, my damn earbud just fell out of my ear, that his people are hardworking. And and of course how the racists misconstrue things. I think that's where he's coming from that standpoint.
Of course. And I don't want to make it seem as if working hard is a negative.
Of course not.
That's not. I think working hard is fantastic. I think everyone should work hard, right?
Yeah, most of us in this country are working class. And I think, look, it's like, I don't know when exactly the term working class became a dirty word, especially in politics. Because, and I found it, this is my perspective, granted, I'm sure you share this as well. I found it continually disconcerting all throughout the last couple of elections, particularly in 2020, to what little degree the mainstream candidates that mainstream media was telling us were, the valid ones, how they would avoid using the term working class at all costs. They always defer to middle class Americans, hardworking Americans, but they don't like to say working class. There were some candidates that repeatedly say that. Some won, some lost big time. But to me, as far as this whole issue is concerned, I would hope that no one is hearing this and thinking that that you can't, portraying this person as, working class is the problem. No, it's the thinking behind that, the inherent thinking behind that. And I think all the issues that you pointed out about what's wrong with that line of thinking need to be said more often. They really do.
That's the issue, right? Like, it's not that working hard isn't fantastic to instill in other people and to celebrate, but it's been used as this sort of buffer to protect the broken system. To say, like, you don't got it. The system isn't shit. You just haven't worked hard enough, You only have 3 jobs.
By the way,
get a 4th.
And I thought of another example that really speaks into this. Doctor Who. This latest era, which I've made no secret, I'm very disenchanted with Jodie Whittaker. Not that she's the issue, but the issue is the writer, the showrunner, Chris Chibnall. And he did something that was very un-Doctor-ish, because throughout the first 10 seasons of this new era, he was very pro-working class, very anti-corporations. Some iterations more than others, but that's been an inherent characteristic throughout all the iterations. Except this latest one. There was an episode back in 2018 in the first season of her run where she comes across this. So the whole episode is basically not spoofing, but it's a play on Amazon, this corporation in space that kind of owns everything. And one of their employees wants to blow it up because of how little, nobody has any jobs because of how successful this company is doing. And the doctor basically said to this person, the institutions aren't the problem. The problem are people like you.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. And I remember doing a review on that episode, specifically back in 2018, telling Kyle, yeah, no, that was, look, granted, that person was basically a terrorist, but in terms of how the doctor responded to it, it came off in a different light. When you specifically say the institutions aren't the problem, what?
Yeah, like, you can at least say, like, you're not helping, you're making it worse.
Yes.
But to say the institutions aren't the problem, like, I don't know about that.
And the episode ended off with her leaving the corporate overlords with them saying, we'll try and do better. And then they all...
Thank God. Thank God. Oh. Well, she saved the day. Thoughts and prayers. To be fair, I think we should let the listeners know that only one of us is part of the working class, and the other one is part of the journalistic elite.
That's not true. Working class is dependent entirely, of course, on your income and how much you're paid. And let me tell you, I am very much in the confines of what is considered to be working class. When you apply the word journalist, elite, media, you think that I'm some of these millionaires that live in the high corners of New York City that broadcast through CNN, the Clinton News Network, as it's been called. I'm kidding, of course. Thinking that's funny. No, that's not me.
I've heard you've gone to a premiere or two in your day.
I've gone to a premiere, but this was long before the occupation that I currently have, and this was not something that was specifically for me. I was just added as a +1. I wasn't invited. I was just like, hey, there's this thing. You want to go? Sure. Now, were we covering the event? Sure, I think we were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I don't know what this. I don't know what this.
Gotta get those good reviews.
What this ridiculous aside is all about. Did I write reviews that were published for In the Heights and Luca? Sure. Does that matter? That's up to you to decide.
Anyways, In the Heights. Yeah, I'm pretty lukewarm on it. The music didn't wow me, and the acting was really good, I thought. It was very cheesy.
Of course, but that's like Lynn's mantra, though. That's it.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And I like cheese.
I like some cheese.
Yeah.
I like cheese, yeah. The type of cheese, like I said, kind of threw me off, where it's just like, just do it,
right.
You know? But all the dancing, all the spectacle was done really well. I thought visually they did a lot of cool stuff. The actors and actresses, as far as color goes, I mean, I don't know, man. I loved the color on screen. I know some people had issues with it. I'll say it. I didn't.
What do you mean the color on screen?
Of the people. Yeah. No, I didn't have an issue with it. Sorry. I'm not going to pretend like I did.
No, I mean, I didn't notice it. And I guess that sounds bad, but it didn't ruin overall what I feel about the movie. And all of this was just after the fact, at least to me. Do you see personally, where do you stand on this whole controversy, this whole blowback?
On the idea that darker Latino and Latinas and Latinx, let's use that word, shall we? Actors should have more screen time. Yeah.
Obviously.
I have nothing against that. But, like, looking at the people that had screen time, I sure as hell wouldn't call them light-skinned.
I wouldn't call them white. Like the Washington Post put out this article this week that said that, In the Heights is another example of classic Hollywood whitewashing.
That blows my mind. That's the thing where I can't go along with it. Sorry. I just can't. I thought the people, the actors, were plenty dark. I've seen a lot of movies, and I hardly ever see Latino characters that dark in movies. Now, again, should there be more opportunities?
Absolutely.
For darker, especially darker Latinx, that's the word, characters to appear on screen? Sure. 100%. But honestly, that isn't a criticism I would throw at this film.
I agree. Although there have been... What happened?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
People on this.
I just want to throw this here because I wonder if because people tend to overreact, and just to show that there is nuance and that we're not to the extreme, I'd like to share some of Bill Maher's interesting comments.
Oh, God.
Did you
Not this guy.
Okay, so he said to stop the apologizing. You're the guy who made the founding fathers black and Hispanic. I don't think you have to apologize to Twitter. Okay. Do I think that he really thinks he should apologize? I don't. I think he just wants to avoid the news cycle, and I don't blame him. This is why people hate Democrats. It's cringy. I mean, he's a Latino making a Latino movie with a Latino cast. Not good enough. Nothing is ever good enough with these people. They're like children. We don't raise our children right, and it's reflected in the media. No one ever tells their children, shut the fuck up, sit down, listen to your elders, stop bitching. What? Okay.
Yeah, I don't like this guy.
What Mar finished with, people are going to have to stand up to these bullies because that's what it is, bullying. It's not bullying. I can make you crawl like a dog and I enjoy it. Oh my God, what the hell?
It's not bullying.
Yeah, we're not this, for those listening. This is...
I don't agree with that, because that is a legitimate criticism that people brought up. Like, we should see more, because yeah, as someone in a Latino community, there is racism, even within, against darker skinned Latinos. That does exist. It is not good, and they absolutely should have more of a spotlight in films. I just don't think this is a film that really suffers from that. When I walk out the door, and I live in a place that's like 90%, what is it, 80%?
Yeah.
Latino. Yeah. What I saw in that film is exactly what I see. So, I mean, yeah. But yeah, no, I don't want to be associated with Bill Maher.
No.
No, he's such an annoying piece of shit.
He really is.
Every week he cries about
cancel
the woke
culture.
Mob. The cancel culture is going to destroy the world. It's not. God, I don't even want to talk about him. Fuck him. We're not that.
We're not. I wanted to put that out there to distance ourselves from that insanity. Okay. Anything else in the Heights?
No.
Then I think we can go ahead and move on to Luca, the new film from Disney and Pixar. This one also has well, I don't know what I was... Never mind. Go.
Has a what? Okay, I don't even want to know what you're going to say. Luca, directed by Enrico Casarosa. Prepare for an unforgettable trip. Two young boys experience an unforgettable Italian summer filled with gelato, pasta, and endless scooter rides. But all the fun is threatened by a deeply held secret. They are sea monsters from another world just below the water's surface. The cast is Jacob Tremblay, Jack Dylan Grazer, Emma Berman, other people. Produced by Pete Docter and Peter Son. Yeah.
And Kiri Hart.
Sure. So, what'd you think?
You know, I mentioned this last episode, that this movie apparently sparked this discussion about, you know, what happened to Pixar and are its best days behind it. And personally, I find it aggravating how this particular piece just came out now when this discussion should have been had in the mainstream years ago through all of the sequelitis that was happening. I mentioned that I was particularly disenchanted with Pixar after the 1-2 hit punch of Incredibles 2 and Cars 3. I guess Coco was in between there somewhere, but it didn't feel that way. And then in the lead up to Toy Story 4, before I ended up loving it, I was really hating the trailers and really worried about what it would do. You ended up liking it as well, but you also were on that mind that, man,
it's okay.
Yeah. Now, lately, I've really enjoyed the Pixar films. Onward is good. Soul is really good.
Yes.
And I think to most people, this film seems like a bunch of, is this it? Wait, did you forget, like, was there more to it? You even have people like Disney, like Grace Randolph. I keep bringing her name up, but it works in these situations. It really peeved me off, I'll say, when she was like, yeah, this feels like a Disney Plus movie. Like, just like because of, I guess to her view, it's like, it is, I guess, too simplistic and not enough pizzazz, enough to warrant a theatrical release, to which I say, fuck her. I would have gladly, given money to see this in the theater several times at this point. Yeah, on the surface, this is not a film that if you told me about this is what it was going to be ahead of time, I would think that I would not really care much about the film. Mm-hmm. Really. We were interested in the trailers leading up to it. But I was really just I was going to say won over. I'm not even going to say that. My heart was actually kind of stolen by the film in a way I was not expecting it to. It is a very simplistic film. And I think I thought of this the other day where, like, I think there is beauty in its simplicity. And in the attempt that Pixar is doing something different with this, where we're not having a really, I guess the more adult themes, the more complicated plot points that and I guess the world building that some of these Pixar films have. And I personally feel like a lot of Pixar fans that have grown into adults have kind of fallen into this disenchantment syndrome, where if it's not the kind of movie that speaks inherently to the things that they're going through right now, as how most Pixar films have, where yes, there are animated films, but for the most part, their themes and their subtext have largely grabbed the attention of adults versus kids. Something that comes along like this may not really appeal to their interests because they're not kids anymore. And this movie is very clearly made for a younger audience. Maybe not like preschool audience, but it's mainly for preteens, I would say, around that age demographic, maybe even a little bit younger. I found the film endlessly charming and delightful in all the best ways. I had a big smile on my face, honestly, and it, of course, got me emotional, because of course it did. I've seen a lot of people who I respect, whose opinions I take seriously when in this space, that have walked away and like, it was fine. It was good. Well, not much more to it. And I understand that. I could not disagree with that emotion or that sentiment whatsoever. I mean, completely. Or more. I love Alberto. I love Luca. I love them together. I love what the film showcases, especially. And I really wished I would have had this movie when I was younger. So yeah, there is that.
Do you remember, because you mentioned that we discussed the trailer, do you remember my comment on the trailer?
You need to narrow that down. Your comment on what specifically? How you felt about the trailer?
Yes.
Oh, you mean the gay stuff?
No. Okay, you clearly don't remember.
That it doesn't feel like a Pixar movie?
No, you don't remember.
I don't remember.
I'll remind you.
Okay.
The last time we discussed the trailer, I said I really dig it, I really like it, but I kind of hope that there isn't much more to it. I said I hoped that it was just kind of...
You said that?
Yes, I did.
You said that.
You can go back and listen to it.
We
have the tapes.
I will. We have the
we have the tapes.
We have the tapes.
I literally said,
huh.
Because I talked about the trailer. I was like, I know there's probably going to be more to the film, but I really hope it's more of this simplistic sort of hang out with these characters on a beautiful summer type film, very Studio Ghibli. I literally said all of this, and then you were like, yeah, but it won't be. And I was like, yeah, that's true. There'll be some other stuff to it. Because the trailers hadn't shown much. We literally talked about, I can't believe you forgot. So.
Well, I mean, you really said that. Wow.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I can't think of a better example of me being more happy to have been proven incorrect in that regard. And I think you would agree with this as well. I mean, we had every expectation, as with most Pixar movies, that there would be a larger subtext to this than what's on the surface. So wow, that's mind blowing to me. I did not know that.
I adored this film.
Yeah.
I loved it. Like, I genuinely loved it.
When was the last time you have said those words about, first, a Pixar film, and second, a Disney animated movie?
Coco.
What? Oh, Coco. Oh, I thought you said Go-Go. Like, what the fuck is...
I think I answered too quickly to you. You got whiplash.
Maybe, yeah. I was like, wait, what? Okay. So Coco was the last example.
I would say Coco was the last one.
Out of curiosity, what about
Coco...
Disney? Particularly Disney. Was it Zootopia or Moana?
Zootopia came after, huh?
No, before.
Oh, before. Yeah. Then maybe I would say Moana.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, I loved this. It is, if you look up adorable in the dictionary.
Yes.
This is the film you would see, right? It's so simple in its characters, in its story, in its world, but it's so beautifully done. And it's just you just sort of fall into this world, and it gives the feeling about reminiscing about a summer in Italy that you never actually had.
No.
But it gives this feeling of that, right? The animation is gorgeous, but it's also different.
Yes.
It's not your typical Pixar style. And that goes for the rest of the storytelling.
Yes.
There's so many instances they could have gone big, right? The way a lot of other Pixar films, like the way Soul did. Like Soul.
It went for it.
It went for it, right? But it's this film is so charming in the ways that it didn't.
Yeah.
Right? Like her dad, you know how he was missing an arm? Like, I thought, like, oh, there's going to be this backstory where he lost it to a sea monster.
They joke with that.
It's going to be like this whole thing and this big emotional buildup. He's like, nah, I was born this way, you know? And I thought that was like, oh, that's perfect, right? Because it's like, yeah, like he was born without an arm, but he's not disabled. And it's not this big, sad, tragic backstory. It's just who he is, right? And it really, because it was so simple and light and joyous, it really gave me extra opportunity to just enjoy the world and enjoy the animation.
Yes.
The animation is so good and so fun, and the characters are so full of life.
They are.
Like, fuck, I love that cat.
Oh, yes. I knew you would. Yeah. And you love cats in general, but that one especially.
It's also really funny, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's one of the things that's not being talked about enough, is how hilarious the film is. Like, honestly, like top to bottom.
Yeah. So many times I like laughed out loud.
Right?
Every time they called someone stupido. Like when he's about to tell it to the dad and he like stops. But no, it's so quaint. You know what it reminds me of? It's sort of that light, quaint beauty, but that also sort of lives in the real world as far as the issues that'll affect kids. Is like Peanuts. I don't know if you've ever seen Peanuts.
I never had a connection with it. So explain, please, for those who are not as familiar.
It's all about Charlie Brown, the most lovable loser in the world, and his gang of friends. And I think if you love this, you should really watch
the Peanuts movie.
The Peanuts movie.
Okay.
Because it's very similar.
You've loved that movie for a long time, and when you
Yes.
first saw it, you were talking about it, and the rest of the world ignored it. It seemed like.
Yeah, but literally the entire point of the Peanuts.
Wait a minute,
movie,
real quick. Is that Blue Sky that did that movie?
Yeah.
Does that make that a Disney movie technically now? Do they own that movie?
Oh wait, was it Blue Sky or was it Sony? I think it was with Sony.
Okay. Well, we'll discuss this after the fact, but
yeah.
Whichever one it was.
I don't exactly remember.
Yeah.
But the entire plot of that movie is Charlie Brown is a loser.
Mm.
And he's kind of the embodiment of Charles Schwartz telling kids the world will kick you down and they won't care. You know, it's on you to pick yourself back up. But he sort of sends that message in the most light, fun ways. There's of course the classic gag of Lucy pulling the football, and she's always saying like, "Hey, like let's kick the football," and he's like, "No, like you always pull the football at the last minute, and I fall on my ass." He doesn't say that, but she always convinces him like, "No, this time is different. I'm not gonna do it," and then of course she does it every time. That's the biggest metaphor for the Peanuts. It's like that's life, and that whole movie. This is how it was rated G. Like that's how low key it was. Mm-hmm. It's literally just like Charlie Brown views himself as the loser, and everyone kind of sees him that way too. They're friends, but they're also like, "Come on, Charlie Brown." But a new girl comes to school that he really, really likes. And he's like, this is the opportunity for a fresh start, you know, someone new. And the whole movie is just him trying to impress her and failing miserably. But it does have a really cute ending. I'm not going to give it away. But yeah, no, like it's that sort of sweet but realistic innocence that is very much present in Luca. Mm-hmm. And just makes you fall in love with it, because it's not like they shy away from things. In fact, there are several parts that got to me emotionally.
Right? Like I wouldn't even see it coming. It got you. Mm-hmm. It got you right there.
Yeah. And the difference is some of them are sad, but a lot of them are like sweet moments. They right? are. Like the grandma saying like there will always be people that won't accept him. Mm-hmm. But he seems like he does a pretty good job of finding the ones, the good ones. Yeah. And I don't know why. It was just such a nice, it kind of got to me like, oh.
I know. Yeah. Me too. Both times. I know.
Very wholesome.
I enjoyed this so much. I saw it twice. I saw it, first time, I think this past Saturday, and then I saw it again Sunday because it was just in my mind so much. And it was marinating. I was like, did I love this movie? I think I did love this movie. So I'll watch it again. And I was like, yeah, I really fucking love this movie. I love everything you said, Peter. The simplicity to it. I love that it didn't try to be anything more than what it probably should have been in this case. Mm-hmm. It really is kind of the antithesis of most Pixar films.
Yeah, I love that there's so much that they just don't give a shit to explain.
No.
Like, why do they turn into humans when they get online?
They just do.
Who cares? They just do. That's just something they do. What's going on with the fish world? Oh, they're there. There's just fish people living in the sea. Like, don't question it. There's so much of that, and I think it's I love it. Because with other Pixar films, it's like, here's our whole world, how we super ultra thought it out, and it's cool. It's cool a lot of times, right? Like something with soul, right? Like in order to become the soul to go to Earth, you need to do this and this and that. Like the huge ass breakdown of all the rules of the world and shit like that. But with here, it's just like, yeah, fish people they turn into human when they're dry.
I just kept thinking to myself, especially during that second viewing, like, how can anybody walk away from this and not just be overjoyed, filled with joy?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's what I was. I was so just taken over with emotion and joy. Alexis made a great observation when we discussed it, that this was one of the rare Pixar movies that made her cry, but not in a sad way, but in a happy way.
It's that all kind of like,
yes.
It's so cute you want to cry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
The score,
I think, within the film.
Loved it.
Yes.
I loved it. I loved the score. I loved the animation. The voice acting. Tremblay and Grazer were great together. That Tremblay, man, you called it. He's gonna go to some big places pretty soon.
Going big places. Mm-hmm. He's winning that Oscar any day now. Oh, and I really liked the little girl,
Julia.
Julia. I thought she was great. She was funny.
She was great dynamic, and there are a couple of things I want to get into regarding that dynamic. So if you haven't seen it, this isn't the kind of movie that, again, much happens in terms of like spoiler territory.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you do care about that, then this is the part where you might want to skip ahead here. But watch it on Disney Plus. Please watch this film. I am so upset that I didn't get to see this in the theater. Let me just...
You know what?
Go ahead. Yeah.
This is one of those films that if they had done it both, I would have gone to the theaters after. I probably would have saw it here first.
Yes.
And then go like, nah, I gotta go to theaters.
No, me too. Me too. Again, I probably would have like, look, let's say I had no one to go with and I needed to go watch it because I had to do a review for it. So I didn't watch it right now. I need to see this again. And if I need to see it again, I need to see it in the theater. Like, out of my way with. And, I have so many thoughts. But let's stick with this at first. This first one with the theater business. What the fuck were they thinking? No, seriously, what the fuck were they thinking? This is not only the perfect family movie, it's the perfect summer movie.
Yes.
More than any other movie right now playing in the cinema, this is the one that probably would be helping them the most. Mm-hmm. And where is it? It's nowhere to be found. What the fuck happened?
It's Pixar. It's fun for all ages. It's summer oriented. Like, I don't get it.
It's like, and Disney Plus didn't need it. They have Loki right now. They have The Bad Batch. They have a couple of shows that are keeping people's interest at the moment. Like, why do you need this to be on Disney Plus right now?
But that's what's crazy to me. It's not even that it's like on Disney Plus. It's that it's Disney Plus, no extra charge. Disney Plus exclusive. Like, that's crazy.
Cruella has a fucking upcharge. Cruella has an upcharge. The Jungle Cruise
Devil
will have an upcharge. Black Widow will have an upcharge. I'm probably going to... Well, I can't even say for sure. I am looking forward to Black Widow. I have a hard time seeing any movie that Disney has that's left to come out this year that will come close to how much I adore this film. Let me tell you something. I as far as movies are concerned right now, 2021, I'm loving this year. I'm loving a lot of these movies. I loved Quiet Place Part 2. I really loved In the Heights. I loved The Mitchells versus the Machines. And up until now, that was my favorite film of the year. But there was something about Luca, man. There was something about this movie that just, as I said, stole my heart. It captured it immensely.
They also got Barb and Star.
Yeah, Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar, Judas and the Black Messiah. I really enjoyed Raya. You didn't, but
it was okay.
I'm liking a lot of the movies that have come out this year. Mm-hmm. Particularly the commercial films. We haven't gotten any of like the obviously like quote unquote serious Oscar films to the end of the year.
Have you seen Bo Burnham Inside yet?
I'm kind of avoiding that. I don't know. I feel like it's a bit traumatizing. I hear it's great, but it's a bit dark.
It's one of those where it's like, okay.
It's like, would I want to watch that, or could I just watch Luca again?
That's the thing. A lot of people, I think, would find it therapeutic because it's like speaks to what they're feeling. Uh-huh. But I'm not one of those people.
No?
I'd rather watch Luca. I'd rather feel good.
No, I actually watched The Father again recently with my mom. It's a really good movie. It's a really good.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, so right now, as far as movies are concerned, there are a lot of movies that I'm just really passionate about. But let me tell you, when a movie hits me, that first, and I said this in the last, we didn't do a review. We did an overview of the Luca Pixar debate and then also the queer rating on it in the last podcast. The official review from Kyle and Alexis will be on Fantasy Fair, so keep an eye out for that one. But I mentioned there that when I love a movie, when first of all, it's like the screen lock on my phone.
Yeah.
Then I ordered a poster. Of course, I ordered a poster of this one.
Is it gonna replace Toy Story 4?
Anyway, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I didn't think it would. I think I have a place over right here. I ordered a poster.
I don't know how you still have spots.
You don't know how I still have it. I ordered 2 posters, as a matter of fact. So that's how you know how many more. Not 2 posters of Luca, but I ordered another one of Invincible. So it's
Great show.
It's a great show. No, but this has been to me perhaps the most I've loved a Pixar movie. Now, I love Toy Story 4, but it has its issues. So I didn't love it overwhelmingly. I loved it mostly because of how much it resonated with what I was going through at my life at that point. Overall, I think it's a good movie. What was the last film that I would have to say? I think you're right. I think mostly it is Coco. But Coco was a different kind of emotion. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That brought on the sad tears. This one is it goes for a different kind of thing here. I really love how we have a movie like this in which we have the protagonists, these 2 young boys. We have Luca, the title character, and Alberto Scorfano. I love that name, by the way. I love how he introduced himself, like Alberto Scorfano. Again, Grazer and Tremblay are great. But there is something, I think, truly special in their relationship that you don't see in most movies, especially you don't see it in terms of Western audiences. And that is that these 2 young boys are allowed to be really affectionate with one another. Mm-hmm. They hug.
They are European.
That is true. That is true. They hug. They kind of, at some point, hold each other. They look longingly at each other. Like it is, and it's not like, to me, and clearly I think the intent was it's not anything in terms of we'll get to the queer reading in a bit here. Mm-hmm. But as far as like what the intent behind the film was and how I took it mostly, it's a very innocent kind of love. And it reminds you of how anyone used to be. It reminds you how dear the simplest of things were to you when you were a child. It takes you back to those summers where your main concern could have been getting a Vespa scooter, something so minuscule as that. I love what this movie showcases. And to me, it kind of is the perfect rejection to toxic masculinity. It's an embrace of obviously accepting people for who they are, which is inherent with the fact that they're sea monsters, and for most of the film, they have to really hide away that part of themselves because the entire town is on the hunt for them. Mm-hmm. So that in and of itself is a very clear gay allegory. Of course, it can be applicable to anybody, clearly. But that really was what I thought was special about it. What did you think about that their relationship and how affectionate they were allowed to be?
I loved it. I will say I got really angry at the people that got angry when people made call me by your name comparisons, and then people indignantly were like, oh really, you were gonna compare to call me by your name just because it's these 2 guys, and it's like, whew. Looks like those comparisons weren't that off. So
why would people be upset about that?
I don't know. It's the internet. Who cares?
I mean, there were a lot of "Call Me by Your Name" vibes.
There was, right?
Not just
And
the
I will
setting. Yeah, go ahead. Please go ahead.
I will say a lot of queer reading into characters is oftentimes, I feel, a stretch.
I agree.
Like, there's a lot, like, the people that got mad at Anthony Mackie for being like, no, they're not gay. They're just two sensitive dudes. Like, yeah, I'll say, like, yeah, they never came off as anything other than, you know, affectionate bros.
Right. Real quick on that example, I think less about Anthony Mackie, but others, like I think Randolph herself included, were like, they were blaming the creative team at Marvel for how upset people were because she was saying that was intentional queer baiting.
I don't think it was.
That's not how I
really
feel.
don't think it was queer baiting.
Not at all.
I really don't think it was. If that's the case, then you can never have just two straight male buddies that are... They can never be friends unless they're toxic masculinity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're saying, like, they can't be affectionate and cool with each other and also be straight, then you're basically saying that...
Yeah. You
want toxic masculinity to stay in your portrayals of straight men, which I certainly don't want that. So no. I don't buy into that. Oh, it's queer bait. This film is a completely different story.
It is.
Okay. It is dripping with the queer bait. Okay. Like, let's be real, right?
Yeah.
Like, the town rejects the two boys because they're different together. I'm very, very clear. Like, this is the clearest I've ever seen it in a film.
Ever. I mean, and I mean ever. Any film, especially any mainstream film, much less.
Yes.
Like, this, and there were several responses I saw, but this very much feels, even though it's never mentioned, it's not necessarily brought up at all, but it very much feels like Disney's first gay movie. Like, for reals this time.
It's very close. Like, it's scratching. But you never have that, like, where maybe a kiss or they hold hands. You never have that, right? It still never breaks that, like...
They hold each other's
friends.
arms every now and then.
But they never break that barrier,
no.
I feel. But I mean, fuck, do they come close? Like, I really do think it's... Like, let's be real. Like, that's... It's to me, like, there are so many other, like, TV shows and movies where people, like, scream queer bait, and I'm like, I don't see it.
No.
I'm like, sorry, I just don't. This one, I'm like, it's there.
It's right there.
It is in your face.
Did you see Double Toasted, their review on this one?
Oh, no.
No. Well, there's this one point where Corey is talking about what you're talking about, right? The closeness between these two characters. And I don't want to do the visual, but at one point he said he thought that while they were looking into each other, that one of them was going to completely just start making out with the other one. And doing the whole, like, visual with it, you know, how he can get, how expressive he can be. But that's the vibe that they got off of it.
No, God. Like, if on that train ride at the end, if there had been a kiss, the only thing that would have shocked me about it was that Disney actually went through it. That would have been the only thing that shocked me about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It kind of almost was. Again, like, we're in that space where it kind of almost was there. Maybe it was. There's so much you can say about this. I feel that really also makes this film an added layer of special, right? Because it feels like the first movie kind of ever that can be accessible to an audience that so often has continuously either at first been ignored and then been stereotyped and then been baited. But have been like flimsy attempts at best. And this feels like kind of groundbreaking in that regard. And that also kind of makes me feel, makes me lament the fact that it didn't get a theatrical play. Because imagine how many people's lives could have been changed by experiencing this movie.
Imagine the Fox News stories.
Imagine the Fox News. Where are the Fox News stories?
It didn't get a theatrical run. I'm sorry.
Real quick about that, like, at least as far as examples in the film itself, like another added layer to this, and as far as like the relationship between Alberto and Luca, and then also to further comment on this this potential queer reading. Here's what I loved. I love the fact that they introduced a girl into their group, and they didn't have this stupid rivalry that happens in almost all these situations where one of them falls for her or they both fall for her, which it very easily could have done. And I was so thankful they weren't interested in her whatsoever. Not in that way.
Not like that.
Not like that.
Yeah, not in that way. He was enamored with her world, but and a friend, right?
Right.
Like, it was more of like, oh, I'm losing my friend kind of thing, when sort of the issues between.
And Alberto, from his perspective, he was jealous of her because he was losing his friend to her.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I was afraid they're gonna be like, oh, I'm glad they didn't do that. I'm really, because it also adds to like the whole innocence of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like the issue isn't so much like, oh, I'm in love with you, but this one's in love with this. And this. Leave that to the teenagers and their annoying asses. You know?
Yes.
They're still young kids, and it's just more of like being enamored with the world.
Right.
You know?
That's why it feels so innocent. It feels so wholesome in that regard.
That joy of discovery of like, oh my God, like that's what the sun is. That's what the moon is.
Yes.
There's so much to learn and so much to see. And the world is such a bright, beautiful place. And it's like, yeah, like you can drift far away from those thoughts. And it's nice to see a movie that pulls you back and reminds you of that sort of thinking. That childlike thinking.
I loved this. I didn't expect it to be that way, but Julia's father was pretty funny as well, but also pretty important too, especially since like you can tell. I don't think it's ever explicitly said, but you can tell as far as like Julia's father and then the friendship that he forms with Alberto. Like they're kind of filling each other's voids, because it seems like, as far as Julia's father, he very much misses her when she's not around. And then with Alberto, his father kind of walked out on him.
And that's what I mean, where it's innocent and it's beautiful, but it doesn't pretend like the real world issues don't exist, right? Like Alberto was still a kid where his dad just up and left him, right? And now he feels like a piece of garbage, you know, one of the many pieces of garbage that he collects from the human world. Yeah. And Julia, it's never explicitly stated, but it's pretty obvious, like they're divorced.
Yeah, they're not together.
Because
they live in different towns.
Yeah. And it's that whole thing of like, well, she comes and stays in the summer. And then also, he's technically bigoted against the sea monsters.
That's true. That's true. And it's powerful when he makes that turn. And he was the first one to say to the town, back the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's Luca and that's Alberto. And you're going to get to them over my dead body, basically. You know, without saying the words, is kind of what was inferred there.
Yeah. And accepting them. It's one of those movies where you really fall in love with the world of characters. Like I love in the credits.
Yes.
How you
yeah. You
see their continued adventures as
basically Luca too.
Yeah. but you don't need it.
No.
Although I think similar to Toy Story, I think this is one world where it would be fun to see a short every
film.
once in a while.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they can do that. They have plenty of time with Disney Plus. Crank out those short films.
Yeah. I would love to see one of those shorts, like maybe Luca discovers snow. Something like, whatever. But yeah. I was surprised how much I loved it.
Me too.
I really, really was.
Me too. I'm even more surprised that we agree on this 100% because as rare as it is for us to find a film that, surprises us and we love it so much, it also is rarer still to find a film that we seemingly love in exactly the same way, and even rarer still, it being a Disney movie, and even rarer still, it being a Pixar film. I think this is one of those situations where the stars kind of aligned here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and this is what I was going to say. I forgot to say this at the beginning. The way I see a lot of people feel about Luca is the way I feel about, what was that other one they did?
Soul?
No.
Wait, let's backtrack here. You're saying that the way that some people feel very indifferent toward the film is how you feel about this other movie?
Yes.
This other Pixar movie?
Yes.
The one from last year?
Yes.
Onward.
Yes, that one.
Kyle would be jumping right now and probably strangling you to death because you are the second person this week to forget that movie or forget the name of that movie. Alexis broke a cardinal sin the last episode where she forgot Onward even happened in between Toy Story 4 and Soul, and he was so upset.
He's going to be real pissed about what I say here then. The people that don't care for the film, that are just like, it's fine. That's kind of the way I feel about Onward, right? Because like Kyle, there were a lot of people that really love Onward. I didn't expect to dig it as much as I did, but I really dug it.
Yeah.
Right? And then there are people like me who are like, it's middle tier Pixar. And then I'm kind of like the opposite, where it's like, oh my God, I didn't expect it, but I really love Luca. And then other people are like, middle tier Pixar. So. Yeah,
for the most part, a lot of the big names, quote unquote, for film Twitter, right? So only so big, but the critics, most, even though it has, I think, a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's a very much critically acclaimed film. But even still, the ones that gave, I guess, technically speaking, positive reviews to it, there was this sentiment that you could definitely feel and see for yourself that there was this general indifference and lack of enchantment with this movie. And because of that, it spurred this whole discourse about whether or not Pixar has lost it, which I just found ridiculous because really, this is the movie that's going to launch a discussion about whether or not Pixar has gone down in quality as a studio. I mean, it's ironic because I think this is the one that's kind of restored some faith overall and what to expect in the future.
Yeah, I loved it.
On the while though, on the whole, I meant to say, I have noticed from just general audience people on Twitter, not the critics, there've been some pretty praise things being said about it. Alexis even said that I think a family approached her the day the film was out on Disney Plus, that they had watched it and that they loved it.
They're there for the merch.
They are. Yep, they're there for the merch.
No, it's so. I think it's like the perfect movie to show kids.
It is. It's the perfect movie to go to a theater right now.
Yes. God damn it, Disney.
I almost wish maybe if you're going to put it on Disney Plus for no charge whatsoever, why not just do a theatrical run as well? Because Cruella and Raya, they had theatrical run and Disney Plus, but you had to pay extra for it on Disney Plus, but you could still go to the theater. And in this case, I really am curious to see them do that because it would have been kind of the most equivalent to what Warner Media
HBO
does,
Max.
Right? With HBO Max does, where you can watch a movie included with your subscription, but you could also go to the theater. And I'm really curious. I wish they would at least try that.
Oh well.
Anyway, this is one of my favorite movies of the year. It may very well be my favorite movie of the year already, based on where we are so far. And as far as Pixar is concerned, I don't know if you, Mr. Martinez, have like entertained where this film falls in your list, and we update this list invariantly. But I can definitely say for me, it has broken into my top 10.
You know what? I just deleted my Pixar list.
Why would you delete it?
I was trying to make room. I don't know. I forgot.
You have to delete a list to make room?
I'm. It's because I already started on my 2021 list.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, God, like let me try and free up some room. Because I hate that I have to scroll through a bunch of lists because I have like a shit ton of lists. Because I keep them throughout the years.
Right.
I have the films I liked. It starts in 2017. And it's 2 lists for each year.
Uh-huh.
So it's all the films I liked that I saw, and then my top 10.
Right.
So 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and then now I'm starting 2021. And then I also have the lists of the movies that I want to give you and Kyle to see eventually. And
those are important. Those are very important.
Yes.
Especially since one thing before we go. I'm on this thing. Yeah, Luca's in my top 10. In fact, as I'm speaking right now, I'm moving it up a spot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who's it jumping?
Who's it? Oh, I'm not giving you the satisfaction of what movie it's jumping, but
I want to know who's it jumping.
Well, I mean, I think we've had 2 movies. I'll tell you this, and I feel like this should have been inherent. Clearly, it's above Onward and Soul.
Clearly, yeah.
Clearly. So let me just have you that. Yeah. So there is that. I can't wait to hear Kyle and Alexis' response. I can already tell from Alexis' enthusiasm she loved the film. And I have to say with a caveat though, like how Peter said about him feeling sometimes he can't adequately review a Conjuring universe film because of how much he loves these movies. I feel that way sometimes as well. Although I feel like I'm honest with myself when I like something and didn't like something. For the most part, when it comes to Disney animated films and Pixar movies, by and large, I adore them. Some a lot more than others, some a lot less than others. But I've always, with that being said, there've been plenty of movie by them from those 2 studios that I personally were lukewarm or just kind of disliked. Some examples: Ralph Breaks the Internet and Incredibles 2. To name a few. Now there've been others where, like, for example, I've really kind of loved and Peter really kind of hated. In the case of, well, Raya, you were whatever too, but especially Frozen 2. I really love Frozen 2.
Fuck that
and
film.
You hate that movie with a passion, it seems like.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have varying opinions on this, but go watch Luca, talk about it, share about it, and I really have just love the fact that I've loved the response and the art that people have made, in response to the movie online. And it's a very fitting film, especially with it being Pride and everything. Now, real quick, when we bring back to the table, especially for the Halloween season, I'm thinking instead of it like lasting only 4 weeks, I figure why not do it 2 months? Hell, maybe even 3. Why not just have like 2 months of like horror themed things? Why don't we start in September, honestly, and then that way we have more out of it instead of just the 4 movies.
I mean, I love horror. Didn't we have an idea of what to do?
The Conjuring movies was one of the ideas that was thrown out there.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. Yeah.
And then, yeah.
I think I also had something else. Let me see.
So, yeah. That's kind of where I am at the moment with ideas I want to throw out there. And of course, for those listening, I would like the record to show that for several days, if not weeks now, Mr. Martinez, as well as I, have formally submitted our official top 10 lists for the year 2020. Now, that would imply perhaps that we're ready to do a show. Well, we are, but we have been delayed by some of our counterparts who have been far less than cooperative about when we can actually record this show. I would hope that all of you listening would understand at some level that we have been reviewing so much content that it has taken us a while to get here. I would like the record to show as well that at the very least, Peter and I have made a valiant effort to find whatever we could in 2020 to talk about for a top 10 show. I have it on good authority that some people have flat out said that they just cannot be motivated to watch a movie right now, especially from 2020. And so I'm left in this place where I'm not sure what to do. All of which is to say, I don't know when you're getting this episode. I'm so sorry. I'm ready to go. Peter is ready to go. But there have been people who have delayed this, and they're not helping.
Kyle. And I argue that we should just simply ambush them and force them.
That's your official position on the matter.
Yes.
Okay. Well, since I don't know when we're talking about this, I look, in all seriousness, I would want Kyle to be there because that's kind of tradition. You know, like these shows are supposed to be a big thing.
I think top 10 is more important than anything and everything that goes on in the Fantasy Fair and even the weekly shows. I really do.
It's kind of like the longest running thing we've been doing.
Yeah.
For him not to be on the show, I mean, I'm just going to say it. I feel personally offended by that. Like, hello. Like, you started this. Did you forget this? Like, you started this thing years ago, and now you're saying, like, you're not going to... you're going to sit this one out.
Maybe we can claim it's tradition that he always bails, so...
I didn't mean for this to turn into an official calling out, but it seems like we've gone down that road, haven't we?
I saw damn near 80 films from 2020, okay? I put my work in. And he waits until we are ready to go for him to say, nah.
That is very inconsiderate. That is very fucking inconsiderate. Like, to wait to the last minute to say, no. Just no.
And that's literally it.
That's all he said.
I think that warrants a call out.
Yeah, so that's where we are with that. Peter, do you have anything else to say? How was your time in Hawaii?
Hawaii, okay? That's how the locals say it.
Dear God,
Right.
They've turned you into one of those people, haven't they?
It's a beautiful place.
It's a magical place.
It's wonderful. It's a magical place. I very much enjoyed it. I really liked it.
You did get that reference, right? I hope you would.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Tahiti.
Okay.
It's a magical place. I did not go to the island of Tahiti. I actually think they're still closed down.
In Tahiti?
Yeah, as in no foreigners.
Well, we should mention, of course, some parts of the world still have it rough out there.
Yeah.
We don't.
For sure.
I mean, well, we'll see. But for the most part, we're here.
Compared to the rest of the world, we don't.
No,
because we have vaccines.
Yeah. And
some parts of the world won't see vaccines until 2023.
That is awful.
Yeah.
That is
fucking ridiculous.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. Yeah. Okay. I think that's going to do it for our show today. I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in and Peter for being here. this is the first show. This is the first 2.5-hour show we've done in a number of weeks.
Yeah.
So I would say it's about time. As a reminder, you can listen to our podcasts anywhere you listen to podcasts, whether it be on Apple, Spotify, CastBox, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, all of the ones, every single Sunday, as well as sometimes on Thursdays, especially when we are dropping Loki recaps. Remember to catch the Fantasy Fair podcast for their review of Luca as well as Cruella and Avengers Campus. I will say that I was on that episode and I lit a torch under Avengers Campus's ass. I'll tell you that. So did everybody else. But just to preview that, and I'm hoping Kyle would drop the episode by the time this is up. So go check all of that out. Once again, thank you all so much, and we will see you back next week. Stay under the spotlight. Bye-bye.